What is up? This is the Keyholing podcast with Lemon. This week we're taking on a growth mindset. We are talking to the humongous hammer wielder, the gigantic grower of food, Earthside Manufacturing. Are you excited to talk about getting the most out of your skill set today?
I am very excited to do so, yes.
Awesome, awesome. You're going to be humble. People can see on the screen he makes super cool knives, swords, metal objects. This is just so badass. Actually, tagging one of my favorite podcast writers, Robert Evans, and Garrison Davis here. Super cool. Highly recommend you checking him out. Quality work. I love to see it. And I think I'm gonna kind of draw some parallels today between this 3D printing guns and talking about a growth mindset, growing food. I think as the times continue to be tenuous and the economy continues to be shitty, regardless of what side of the political aisle you're on, you have to admit that growing your own food is going to become more and more important. First, to talk about the metal, though, resourcefulness and scavenging for metal to repurpose. If someone's interested in getting into this, what should they know? What should they look for when looking for scavenging metals?
So the two main materials that I work with are steel and bronze. Um, I actually so for steel, like the easiest way to get into it to know what you're getting is just like leaf springs or the spiral shock springs for trucks and cars. That's like your basic like 5160 steel. Um, it rusts really badly, but like as far as like making stuff out of it, it's very tough. It's really forgiving on heating it up and then quenching it. Like a lot of the fancier steels, if your temperatures aren't right, you can run cracks or it won't harden at all. But with basic spring steel, like basically anyone with some Crisco and like a campfire and a a hair dryer can like hammer out a knife and harden it.
That's awesome. And like, can you get those at Pull Apart or wherever it may be? Obviously,
Yeah.
like salvage yards, things like that.
And if you honestly like if you find like a shop that you can make friends with, like I've gotten probably 1,000 pounds of leaf springs just by being like, hey, can I take that off your hands? Because they get so little from like the uh, like the recycling place that it makes more sense to just have some rando pick it up.
Well, and it's not copper. Like you're not like it's not you're not fighting off other people to flip it or anything. That's such a good thing to know. What would you, is there a first project you would recommend? Would you just recommend a knife for someone starting out? Like you mentioned with the most simple ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, like start like it doesn't have to be pretty. Making something, even just grinding it out and then like heating it up to hammer it flat, is something that like anyone can do if they have like a file, some cooking oil, and something to heat it up. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. And I think from like a purely skill set for being useful in like an emergency, knowing how to like quickly and simply make something with very little is more useful than trying to like make a sword. And you're probably not going to succeed on your first try on that anyway.
No, 100%. And we talk about resourcefulness. No one's going to be in this economy right now, or even a potential like quote unquote post apocalyptic scenario. No one's going to be setting up a manufacturing process, right? Like it is going to be individuals making this. And we talk about developing skills as far as low stakes and low bars go. Like, yes, you can burn yourself. Yes, you can hurt yourself, obviously, but there's no, just like 3D printing, there's nothing wrong with fucking one up and starting a new one or trying to correct it, right? There
No.
are so many areas or so many points in the process that you can call audibles. Like you said, find more raw materials to start something new as you learn and grow developing these skills. But like you said, it is totally okay to mess your first one up. In fact, it's probably expected, right?
Yeah, almost certainly. And like for me, with the reason I like metalworking as opposed to woodworking is when I make a mistake, like hammering a piece of metal, I got a Bob Ross moment. That's not a mistake. That's my happy little tree, right? Like that's just I'm making something different now. Yeah. So that's why I like working with metal. Like it's just well, this is not going to be a long knife. This is going to be a draw knife. Sure.
Absolutely. And kind of drawing parallels and connecting it to 3D2A, you've made an FGC 9, you've made a few other guns as well. Why do you think there's so much FUD lore in not only 3D2A, but the broader gun community about metal parts? So often, particularly as it's getting popular, we see the falsehood. It is false that plastic guns explode, plastic is unreliable, plastic will blow your hands off. And it did calm down for a bit, but as 3D printed guns are exploding in popularity, it's becoming more commonplace to see this, particularly from people who don't know about guns or even people who do know about guns but are ignorant about plastics. Why do you think there is so much FUD lore around guns have to be metal?
So I think like it is just a continuation of the same process. Like when Glock came out, like that transition from like everyone having full steel frames to your basic plastic framed guns. Uh, like everyone had the exact same it was this again. Like it's gonna be unreliable. That's just gonna break. You're gonna drop it. It's gonna snap. The handle's gonna blow off when you pull the trigger. So I don't think this is new. I think it's just this is the first time when we're all adults that we're seeing it.
I think that's a great point, and it's definitely not new because, like you mentioned, polymer guns were looked down upon in a way. Like I wasn't around, but you can go back and read materials.
Yeah.
They were touted as cheap. It was said they weren't going to last, and before you know it, that's the iconic handgun is a
Yeah.
polymer Glock 19, and so really the crazy transition to that. Now obviously 3D2A is not going to have that same mass expansion. Like it's not like a normal market or anything, but I really think it will subside some as more people learn. But I think human nature, humans understand metals going back
Yeah.
thousands of years. So when you hear metal, you think hard, even though all metals aren't hard.
No.
You think hard, and so when you hear plastic, you think Rubbermaid container or whatever it may be, and that's what they think these guns are, and that's far from the truth. And often when these people see it, I get the reaction, "Oh, I didn't even realize it was durable like this. You can throw your 3D printed gun on the ground for them, stomp on it, do whatever," and that's enough of a stress test. I think the main problem is just getting those type of tests in front of people.
And I also think that like if the conflicts in Myanmar got more camera time, I think people would have that huge shift. Because I mean, obviously the whole lifetime of the ongoing rebellion against the junta in Myanmar, the FGC 9 and other, banged together guns have been in use that whole time.
No,
Uh,
absolutely. And not only that is they've been using the FGC things to cast things in metal, right?
yeah,
They've been scavenging metal and saying, "Hey, we know the FGC 9 works. We're going to cast it."
yep.
And you're totally right. However, we did not consider this. It doesn't serve the media's interest to cover this.
No, it does not. It
which
does not.
which is disgusting and nasty, and even when it has been covered, they've been referred to as activists or using coded language to imply terrorist
Yeah,
rebels. Rebels is used so frequently, and I give rebels a good connotation, but
sure.
that's
I mean,
definitely not the case for everyone, right?
yeah, like a lot of things should be neutral, like terrorist or rebel or whatever. Like it's just a description of like your tactics and your relationship to power. Um, but I don't think that it will ever serve the people in power for those terms to be looked at academically.
Oh, 100%. And that's when you see a lot of the reality not aligning is when academics try and approach these scenarios and say, like, justify it in a way. You've got the UN meeting with leaders of the junta. You've got China, the United States, essentially not co-signing, but not giving a fuck
Thailand.
what they do. Yeah, and so it doesn't serve the interest to shine a spotlight on Myanmar. Jake Hanrahan has repeatedly talked about it. Talked to journalists from there. Robert Evans and James Stout have covered it probably more than anyone else with at least with that platform.
Yeah, that
And
I've seen.
it's sad that it doesn't get more coverage because you're right. People seeing this is so inspiring, and it does capture the American spirit, right? It
It does.
There is nothing more American to me than, and I'm getting chills talking about it right now, than a group of rebels cracked down on by their government, 3D printing guns in flip flops in the jungle, shirtless with shorts on, going and carrying out assassinations of government leaders. Is
Against a
it
modern military.
against a
And I,
modern
like
military?
like that's why you're not going to hear about it though, right? Like it started as kids. Like a lot of them have aged, right? Because the conflict's gone so long. But it started, yeah, with like 18 to like 24-year-old kids in their garage, like banging together like single shot 22s and 3D printing guns. And now like they have armored vehicles. Like
No,
the
and it's
government wants that message out there.
absolutely. And in America, we talk so much about all the guns that exist, and even in the rest of the world where imperialism has left guns there, they people love hunting. China has a huge population that loves hunting. There are guns around the world, and people think, oh, you just want the 3D printed gun to serve its purpose. Well, it is an emblem of something, but
Yeah.
also it's to get another gun, right? Like
Right.
you get another gun to in a tank. It's like the Call of Duty game where you kill someone with that gun and then you're upgraded. You've got the gun game. You've got your next weapon, and you bring up a great point. They now have got crazy weapons
Yeah, they
because
do.
of a few raids, and not only with 3D printed guns, but we're talking drone technology, which is 3D printed drone technology is being used in Ukraine as well.
Yep.
But you brought up a very interesting point, and that is not only does the things we talked about with the state not being invested in it, why would the state and largely countries around the world want you to know that you can stand up to the government with that little amount of materials, right? Like, and I
Yeah, none of them. Absolutely none of them want that out there.
absolutely none of them. And credit to the Myanmar legends, they are absolute legends. Crazy heart, crazy
Yep.
determination, a beautiful symbol, beautiful people who are beautiful kids who are fighting for their life, their homes. Some have recovered their homes that were seized by the junta, their
Yeah.
villages that are being bombed. And credit to their resourcefulness, but I want to stress something is they are not unique in that, right? That exists
No.
in humans everywhere. Humans are resourceful. For thousands of years, we've been resourceful. You have this in you too. And so the government has to be invested in that not getting out, right?
Yeah.
Why would they?
Absolutely.
Why would they? They want control, right? They want flock cameras on every uh, motion monitored. They want to see what you're ordering on Amazon. They want to see your Facebook Marketplace purchases. Whatever it may be, they want to control that. And so that's important to think about when understanding why 3D printed guns are suppressed, but at the same time, it shows you that much like metal resources, you they can remove the infrastructure, they can remove the internet, they can bomb the villages, they can make people destitute, but they cannot kill the will. And that's where 3D
Right.
printing guns comes from. That's where creating your own knives comes from. That's where growing food comes from. They can burn the garden, but they can't burn the spirit. And to me, so much of what's human is held in those core beliefs of creation and resilience and love for each other and surviving insurmountable odds. There's something human about loving and being the underdog.
Yeah, and I think one of the like as a nerd, like one of the trends that I've seen, like as time has gone on, the ability for large entities, be they states or whatever, to invade and control areas, like despite the fact that like our military technology is far more dangerous than it's ever been, right? No one can do it anymore. Like no one can like violently oppress large groups of people anymore. Like you see it in Myanmar, you see it in like Ukraine, to be honest. Like uh, 100 years ago, a great power invading a small country, it was a speed bump for the most part. And now, like the ability to be enough of a nuisance as as a person is so much bigger, and it just makes the control, while like it feels more than it used to be, it's more ephemeral than
No,
ever.
100%. And I will say there are some geological and regional factors in, like we talk about the genocide in Palestine, and
Hmm.
but that didn't start overnight, right? This is decades of disarming, and this is something Israel's wanted to do for decades. So
Yeah.
while a lot of progress has been made, I say progress, a lot of murder has been completed, and Israel's progress for a greater Israeli state has been made. This has been decades in the making. And you mentioned Ukraine. That's a great point. And we see this in Africa. You're right, all over the world.
Yeah.
And something interesting is briefly mentioning those weapons left over from imperialism earlier. It is at the hand of weapons, of tanks, of training we, quote unquote, we as America, China, Russia left behind in these countries. And going back to, we talk about the Mujahideen in,
Yeah.
uh, and the U.S. literally working with them, saying, and this is just one example. This happens all over the world, South America, obviously, propping
Yeah.
them up and then being shocked when they turn their back on them, like, and even more recently, abandoning the Kurds despite them fighting and killing large amounts of ISIS
Yeah.
because it didn't serve whatever interest we think we have anymore. We being the United States, and but you're totally right, and the Kurds are a great example of that as well. Is Ethnic cleansing is significantly harder today than it was 100 years ago,
Yeah.
250 years ago, God forbid 500 years ago. And that is because, partially, largely, because of weapons,
Yeah.
right? Because of human ingenuity, finding ways to shoot down man pads, finding ways to create drones that drop things at a very low cost, creating essentially factories in former retail stores, and like there is no, when humans are backed into a corner, there's no limit to their ingenuity, and
Yeah.
when given weapons and back is against the wall, we see it right now. Multiple parts of the U.S. government have said they are out of missiles, or
Yeah.
they are very low. Depleted has been a word used frequently. They've come out and said, oh no, we aren't actually, but maybe, and if we are, it's Joe Biden's fault. Joe Brandon did that. And which is funny because we've seen the mass expansion of the military industrial complex throughout that time. It's just getting
Oh yeah.
robbed by the same guys robbing the economy.
Yeah. 100%.
But there is this false like facade that this is unbeatable. It is impossible. We will trounce anyone in our way. And I encourage people to look up how big the Strait of Hormuz is. We can't even control that.
No.
The
Well, and
largest
like
military in the
I'm
world.
I'm not an Iran stan in any way. But when you look at what they're doing, like their missiles are crudely welded together steel pipe. Their Shahed drones use lawnmower motors. Like short of like turning all of Iran into a glass bowl with nukes, I don't know how you can stop that. And because their weaponry costs nothing effectively, and ours costs infinity dollars, there's a strange force mismatch against the more advanced country.
No, 100% there is. And I apologize if you guys hear my cat. He's also very upset about this. Uh, and people are so quick to, not, I don't want to get too off track, but people are so quick to say, and I'm glad you brought up nukes, they'll just say, just glass it, just glass it. Well, that's not how resources work, right? You'd be poisoning a river that millions of billions, trillions even, dollars of product and gas go across. You would be, it's a much more complicated scenario than that because if it was just that simple of an answer, they would have already did it already.
Well, and I think like to add on to that, like if we did it, it would be the same mistake that we've made in war for the last 40 years or so, 50 years, 60 years, where we tactically win every fight. We never lose tactically, but our strategy is so terrible that we cannot win. If we nuke them, we would instantly be cut off from the rest of the world.
No,
And we would
absolutely.
lose. Like, that's
Not
not a
only
win
like,
condition.
yeah, not only like from a political perspective, but physically nuking a place of massive trade
Yeah.
literally makes no sense. Anyone who says that is kind of stupid because
Yes.
it's just not that simple. It's not that simple. But
No.
going back to the resourcefulness and 3D printed guns, is that kind of what drew you into 3D printed guns? You were very early. On April 7th, 2021, as far as like the 3D printed gun timeline goes, this is pretty, I would consider this early. This is early compared to a lot of people starting now or recently. You
Yeah.
said get a 3D printer and go nuts. I'm the second like on that. Look at that shit.
And
Uh
I don't even know, I may have printed one out. I have a low point. So whenever that came out was my first gun on like a Creality CR2. Yeah.
I'm looking it up here. I don't remember the exact time. 5 years and 2 months ago, so a while
Yeah.
ago.
Yep.
May 17th, 2021. So a month later, you would print a gun. And is that kind of resourcefulness aspect, the making something from something little or nothing, what drew you into 3D printed guns?
Yeah. Yeah. I like to like at least know that I can make something broadly. Uh at some point I will have enough energy to like bend my own AK frame.
Oh yeah,
um
just brute force it, which is in the spirit of the AK. Feels like what you should do, right?
right. Yeah, I got inspired years ago. I saw a guy who bent a shovel into an AK
Dudes rock.
and used the handle as the stock.
That is awesome. I love the handle stock.
Yeah,
It's such a classic,
it is.
a
It
funny
is.
uh, aspect, and fits the AK so much more than the AR. We see them on AR sometimes,
Yeah,
but fits
ARs
the
are too
AK.
clean.
They are, and they aren't the weapon of the proletariat per se. Um,
No, maybe in like 50 more years. Um,
Maybe
I mean, there's going to be enough of them that we've left in other countries that it's going to start fulfilling the same role as the ARs or as
well,
the AKs.
100%. We talk about compatibility. There's so much you can do to an AR. Like while we joke, if you have $500 and that's your gun budget,
Yeah,
you can get an AR, put an AR-15 together and get some ammo for it and mags. Like
yeah.
it is much more reasonable than finding an AK. Don't be some weird purist. There's no bonus points for idealizing a gun or anything like that. You don't get aura boost, even though I often say you do. You don't get aura boost by not getting an AR. Um,
Yeah, I don't particularly like ARs or Glocks. My advice to new people is always get an AR and a Glock. Like they just work. You don't have to worry about it. They're easy to like fiddle with and like take apart and put back together. They're just they work.
100%. And your friends undoubtedly have parts for them.
Yeah.
And since you are a scavenging expert, I say you are, for scavenging for metal, scavenging online to find the low point files.
Yeah.
We're going to rate some of the best scavenging 3D2A hacks. And we're just going to.
Before we go
Okay, go
on
ahead.
the scavenging, so that blade in particular, so I make my own bronze. And you can too. It's called aluminum bronze. So instead of making like mixing tin in with it to get like the standard bronze, um, it if you make aluminum bronze, it's mostly copper, some aluminum, and iron. That particular one is made out of wiring that I stripped, aluminum cans, and a piece of grill that had rotted out and was no longer useful. And I melted it and poured it out. Like,
Incredible. That is so sick. That is awesome. And that just shows you a perfect example of resourcefulness, making something out of what would apparently to many, including myself, have been nothing. That is so sick. Um, Getting to these, we're gonna the 3D2A hacks. We're gonna do love it or leave it. Do you love it or do you just say, I'd rather move on to something else, or it's not necessarily worth it? The Glock slide spring in the Bic lighter. This went viral on Twitter and Instagram. From Whoa Shut It Down, Tony Live Free Print Guns. I think it's a love it. Such a cool little trick.
100%.
And people don't understand that springs are just kind of springs. Now, obviously, when you get into max springs, quality, uh, metal material is important. But for small things like slide springs or any other sort of tiny spring, go to Harbor Freight and get a mixed spring pack. And a lot of your things are going to be in there, or they're going to be in pins. lighters, things you
Yeah.
already have around the house.
Yep.
And who doesn't have like a broken pin in a drawer or a used up lighter? They are everywhere. Um,
Yeah. I definitely don't have like three of them right here.
oh yeah, literally on your desk, literally on your desk. Um, Another one that I'm gonna love, firing pin made from a drill bit or rod or a screw, sharpening a screw, very creative. Again, something that's ubiquitous, that's everywhere. Everywhere has
Yeah.
screws, Ace Hardware, don't go to Lowe's, fuck their flock cameras. Your local store, support them because you may be paying a little more for a screw, but you aren't getting a screw, you're getting a firing pin.
Yeah.
And the 3D2A guys have been all over this, doing this for a while. It's in the Rhino, it's in a bunch of other guns. Super cool. Is that a love it for you as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, anytime you're turning like random bullshit into useful is my jam. Just period.
And this is a rough one because it's a hard build, but the concept is amazing and it's metal. You're the metal guy. An aluminum hair product can as a silencer shell. I kind of leave this one. I love it for what it is. I love it that it's symbolic of you can make anything. I've seen maybe two of these successfully fire. I'm not sure of the efficacy, but I love it as a symbol, but I'm probably leaving it as leaving the function of it.
So I think it's going to depend on the design of the silencer. Because like you see people use like Red Bull cans as like the outer shell, but it's not like it's only there as like just to kind of hold things together and everything inside is taking the impact. Like I don't hate it, um, because I find like having like weird branding on silencers very amusing. Um, but I don't know. It's not very practical.
It's not on
I
the
want to
same.
love it.
Absolutely, I love it in theory. It's not on the same level as these other ones we're talking about. To me,
No,
that's why I'm going to leave it. Um, Reading the instructions,
love it. You kidding me?
I love it, and but too many people leave it. Too many people don't love it. Yes, I know instructions are annoying. Yes, I love winging it. We talk about human nature. As a human, winging it feels awesome.
Yeah. Well, and like they're so much better now than they used to be. Like I went through like four attempts at the low point uh when it came out. uh but now like it's like here's broadly the settings you'll need and the orientation that you'll need and these are the springs and bolts and whatnot. Like they're so much better now. uh I Winging it is cool, but not in something that can explode in my hands.
No, 100%. And also, printers are better, right? There's no
Way
excuse
better.
because you're eliminating the other time. Used to, I would kind of give people a pass because I'm like, bro, after leveling the Ender and fucking with it, I don't want to read instructions either. I
Yeah,
want to commit seppuku with it. I don't want to read instructions. But now that's all you have to do. You don't have to fuck
literally.
with the printer. You don't have to do some other side quest to find which screw is loose on your Ender. Just read the instructions. And you mentioned they're so much better,
Yeah.
infinitely better. Things with pictures. The Seraph came out recently. There's literal
Oh man.
breakdowns. Often there's frequently asked questions that have been answered already from people in the beta or people messaging the dev. The dev says, "Hey, a lot of people have been answering this or asking this. I'm gonna answer this question in the paperwork in the README." So much better. Love it. More people should love it. Stop leaving it. The last 3D2A hack licking your fingers after shooting, and the sweet lead curbing your appetite.
No, you got to go to the source. You gotta taste test that barrel.
Well, no, absolutely. And we talk about a little sweet treat. In this economy, do you get a
This,
cheaper sweet treat than that?
no, I mean, a stick of gum's gonna cost you $3.
No, exactly. And this is something you've already got from shooting. Um, I want people to leave it so I can have their lead, so I can lick theirs. Uh, but in general, maybe we see a lot of people shooting suppressed. I don't
Yeah.
think people understand that there is so much more lead coming back in your face when you shoot suppressed.
Yes.
Even I forget sometimes. I was shooting with a friend recently, and he was wearing a light hat, and I was wearing a dark hat. And I look at, he's like, dude, look at this. And it's the bottom of his hat, and I look at it, and it's literally just a black streak. And so as people are shooting more, I understand everyone can't go outside, which sucks. Shooting outside is awesome and way better than inside. But
Yeah.
just be aware if you need to step out and take a quick breath, if you think a range is unsafe, set a timer and be like, hey, I can only be here for this amount of time. I understand it's easy to get carried away. But literally, I was in a range with a few friends last year, an incredible range, the Baker Range in Louisiana, and they
Nice.
had one AC unit for their indoor
Oof.
range. No other, no, nothing else. I went to Canes and my mouth was sweeter than the lemonade. So I would really suggest take care of yourself, particularly if you're going to be shooting and training more, or even if you're just with friends and not shooting much, saying, hey, I'm going to shoot a little bit, but you're going to be in the range. Just take care of yourself and be aware for your friends.
Yeah.
If they're shooting a lot and haven't taken a breath, stepped outside, or their face is covered in soot, like a soot-like substance, just be aware for them. Lead poisoning is really serious, and you can get your lead levels checked. There's lead wipes, but generally, as long as you're shooting in a ventilated space, washing your hands, even if you're shooting suppressed a bunch, you should be good. But if you are anxious about it, I understand medical anxiety. You can get your lead levels checked. It's a very, very simple test.
And honestly, like you can put something over your face. I know masks have become, for some reason, a political thing, but like you can just like have something between you and the lead.
Woke side manufacturing. He wants us to put a barrier up from getting that sweet lead in our mouth. Why doesn't he want me to have the sweet treats?
You can lick the mask off later. It's saving it. It's saving
Oh,
it.
okay. Now I'm actually into it. And you could like put something in the mask to eat it after. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
seeing
yeah,
where you're
yeah.
going with this. Okay, okay.
Gotta see the vision.
Talking food and sweet treats. Something very interesting here. You processed walnuts.
I did.
How and they look like balls. They
Yeah.
look like balls or butt or boobs, depending on the angle. Our mutual queen cunt here said cycles of the body. Yes, it is. They look absolutely insane. Anyone not watching this, please look up collecting walnuts or go look at Earthside Manufacturing picture at Earthside MANUF1. How was this process, and would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely. So, like, normally processing walnuts to get them ready for use is kind of a horrible pain, but I'm absolutely going to do this again. So just like the very basic process is you get like a plastic trash can or something that's pretty durable. Get a paint mixer for your drill, dump the walnuts in, uh, put the water level slightly above where the walnuts sit, and then just go, and it strips all of that crap off, and then you can just separate it out, use the hulls, that green stuff on the outside. It'll make dirt. There's gonna be a dog in here soon.
Oh
Hi,
hell yeah!
buddy. So yeah, yeah, you get dirt. It took me about an hour to do maybe 2 cubic feet of walnuts, which is enough to last me for a year. Yeah, it was really, really easy. I was shocked.
Oh, awesome.
Um,
And a lot of people think like I understand you look at these and you look at the ball shape and it is intimidating. It's
just
quite
gotta cup it.
round and bulbous. Yeah, apparently. That is so awesome. In an effort to I know this is an insane question to ask because we don't have a ton of time left, but how goated are sunchokes? First of all, what is a sunchoke and how goated is it?
So it is my favorite plant. It is a sunflower, um, uh, from the Asteraceae family, which is one of the best um, of the plant families. Um, it gets it's a normal sunflower that does the sunflower flowers, and then in its roots, it makes these tubers that you can see here, that are super delicious. Um,
And Israel invented these just like they did the cherry tomato, I'm guessing.
100%, 100%. This North American native was invented in Israel, as all things are. Um, but yeah, no, they you can prepare them just like potatoes. Uh, they're really, really easy to cook. Depending on your fiber tolerance, you may want to boil them for 25 minutes before preparing them however you would a potato. Um, but you can make chips out of them, you can do whatever. They're one of the highest calorie yield per square foot on the planet. You don't need to water them, you don't need to fertilize them. You can throw them in anything except like straight sand, and they will just grow year after year. I
That
love
is
them.
so awesome. That is absolutely incredible. That is so sick. And they, for anyone not looking, they do just look like little baby potatoes, almost kind of like ginger, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, very similar.
they've even got the little fingies on them. Lots of human anatomy shaped fruits and vegetables and shit. It is very crazy. Um, what's your favorite sunchoke recipe? Is there a favorite thing you've tried that you make consistently or want to make again?
So I usually just do like because I'm old and thus have to consume a lot of fiber, I'll often just eat them raw. But I don't recommend that if you don't regularly eat like beans a lot, because you will have the experience of tremendous amounts of fiber in your body. Um,
Which I've seen a lot of the 3D printed people in person and a lot of Americans, right? We could all pretty much use a colon cleanse, to be fair.
it will provide that. It will provide that. But yeah, no, I like my favorite is just mashed, honestly, like with butter. It kind of tastes like a sunflower seed potato.
Ooh,
Um, yeah, it's delicious. Chips are also really a real banger.
that is
Um,
so sick. And people should look these up if you don't know. Like, I had a vague idea, but this actually looks awesome, and there's so much cool stuff to do with it that I see people doing. It looks incredible. And I'm seeing a lot of good sides here. Like, if you're just cooking, like, chicken or a protein, whatever it may be, lots of great sides you could whip up here. Who doesn't love chips? Who doesn't love some soup? Some, like you mentioned, some mash.
yeah,
Let's fucking go. These look awesome. I am going to definitely look into this because this is so sick and they look beautiful. You've got a
yeah, they
picture
do.
here on your X Twitter of the sunchoke flower about to bloom. Looks super cool. And we love low maintenance things around here. We absolutely love them. The sunchoke incredibly useful.
Yeah, 100%. Just with the caveat that wherever you put them, it needs to be a place you're okay with sunchokes being there forever. Uh, because any piece that comes up that doesn't come out of the ground will turn into more sunchokes. Uh, I think that's great because I can dig them up and harvest them every year, and I don't have to worry about replanting them or anything. Uh,
Sunchoke stonks up.
yes,
Infinite line
100%.
go up. Line go up from Earthside
Yeah.
Manufacturing. And speaking of
Um,
useful, you find many ways to make yourself useful. You teach combat, you provide security for protests, you place an emphasis on medical skills, which I find really important. I think everyone should take Stop the Bleed. It isn't rocket science, it isn't super
please,
hard. There's free
please.
classes almost everywhere, or someone you know, if you're in the gun community, likely has teaching certification, or a plug to hook you up and say, hey, this person has classes. You've got unregistered throwing sticks. How much weight do you place on having a diverse portfolio of abilities and options to contribute?
Like for me, because I have pretty severe ADHD, it's very important for me. Um, but I think a lot of people, well, it's good to have like at least a low level understanding of a broad array of skills. I think people discount like just being a really good medic or just being able to cook. Um, like those are very useful skills to specialize in. Um, like, but I do also think that like the more skills you pursue, the like the nicer your life tends to be.
No, and the more versatile you are in contributing to your community, right?
Yeah,
And I want to stress too. You mentioned like that's totally fine. Being the best medic you can be, about an incredible medic is so valuable. Like
yeah,
you can't even put a number on it. But having a little bit to contribute in a lot of areas often is
huge.
what a group or community needs, right? You can cook even if it's not the best food, right? You don't have to be Bobby Flay. You can learn how to plan a few things, right? You don't have to be the fucking berry wizard or whatever it is. You can learn Stop the Bleed and a few other things. You don't necessarily have to know how to use the Treg tube or some of the harder, more complicated aspects. A tourniquet's very valuable, super low skill level and very valuable. So,
Even if you never want to pull the trigger on a gun, knowing how to drop a mag and clear can be a huge thing in an emergency.
oh, 100% making it safe. Even if you aren't interested in guns, don't shoot, are just like guns at, from afar, right? Say, hey, they are very cool. It's not for me. That's totally fine. I don't want everyone to have to own a gun or have to be a chef or have to grow food, but those that can and are interested in it should cultivate that one that, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word, within themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't know what other skills you're going to get out of it. Is there some from like growing food? Is there some analytical or outside skills you've recognized within yourself that you've gained or have gotten stronger with growing food?
I mean, honestly, like my knowledge of like ecosystems has improved.
Which
Um,
is so important.
it is. It is. Just by knowing like starting with like how different plants and beneficial insects coincide. Like I like to have a bunch of flowers around, not because I super care about flowers, but the bugs that I want that will eat mosquitoes and potato bugs and all that love to live around flowers. Um,
Which
so
is awesome, and it's that's the perfect example, right, of something bringing something to the table without it being a game changer or anything like that. And I encourage people, be a flower, right? Bring things around people that help them grow. encourage people to cultivate these interests, help people out. A great place to find information. We talk about the internet. There's a ton of good YouTube videos. You sent me the Weird Explorer. Uh, Super cool channel on discovering unknown fruits, but books. There's tons of books on sale. Goodwills often have deal days or a 50% off color for the week, other thrift stores as well. And there's tons of books on.
Anything written from before like 2022 is going to be worth its weight in gold, I
Absolutely.
think.
Absolutely. And I don't want to discourage people, just like with 3D printing, and you talk about scavenging, the financial bar, we both understand, and you out there understand how difficult and shit the economy is right now. The financial bar isn't high, right?
No.
These things are doable at a very, very low to, you mentioned, even potentially free cost, right? And this could be something that you develop getting your neighbors into sunchokes. There is so many ways people can expand on this, and I really want that to be the goal and be what they take out of our discussion here. Talking about an expanse, the massive expanse of Apollo, the void Apollo.
Come here, bud.
Is there any void kitten lore, and do they get more powers from being around void dogs like Apollo? Oh
They
my God!
do.
Look at that! Look at that unit! That fluffy dark unit.
Hi, buddy.
So
Yes.
is it like a quantum thing? Like it expands with their void powers expand within themselves, or how does this work?
Yeah, 100%. If you combine the Void Kitty and the Void ginormous puppers, the puppy will get continually heavier, and the kitten will want more and more and more cuddles.
Oh, oof! This sounds again like super beneficial, similar to the sunchucks.
Yes,
Plant void dogs and cats, and cuddle stonks go up.
way up.
Okay, I'm scratching my chin right now. Um, Thank you for coming on Earthside Manufacturing. Everyone, go check them out. Be a catalyst in your community for these things. Cultivate these interests and hobbies. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to spend a ton of money, and it does leave more money for other things. So, thank you guys, and I will talk to you next week. Thanks again for coming on, man.
That was a pleasure, man.